Hello champions and welcome back to What's My Role. I'm your Tank Bean and today we're going to be breaking down the basics of transmogs so that your character can look as epic or nasty as you want. No judgment. Okay, maybe a little. So what is transmog? Transmogrification, also known as transmog, T-Mog, X-Mog, or just Mog, is the process of paying gold to change the appearance of the gear you have equipped to look like other gear without affecting the stats or set bonuses. As you play the game, gear you get from enemies, quests, vendors, the auction house, crafting, or anywhere else can be added to your appearances collection. You can view your collection by hitting Shift-P or clicking the little horseshoe symbol, which opens up your Warband collections. Then you navigate over here to the Appearances tab, and you can view all the appearances that you've unlocked. And if you scroll further, you will also see all the appearances that you have not unlocked. Once you get to the blue border, you can tell which ones you don't have yet. Keep in mind there are some restrictions. For example, when transmogging one item to look like another, characters must be able to equip both items, and both items must be the same armor type. In addition to this, a class can only transmog their primary gear type. So even though a paladin can wear leather armor, they can only ever transmog plate armor, as that is their primary armor type. So this is a piece of leather armor. I now have leather equipped. If I go to the transmog vendor, you can see my chest piece, which is a leather chest piece, cannot be transmogrified. Even though I do have leather appearances for the chest piece, since this character is a paladin, he can only transmog plate. Another important restriction to note is that each class has exclusive sets that only that class can wear, regardless of armor type. These class-specific sets are only able to be transmogrified by that class, so a paladin could not transmog their gear to a Death Knight set appearance. Here's an example of a paladin set. Only paladins can wear this set. If I switch to Death Knight here, here's a Death Knight set. It says right there, classes, Death Knight in red. Only Death Knights can wear this set, even though they're both plate sets. And finally, when transmogrifying weapons, they have to be transmogged into a weapon with the same attack style. So a one-handed sword could not be transmogged into a two-handed sword. This is a one-handed axe. As you can see, there is no two-handed option. Only other one-handeds that match the same attack style. The primary armor types each class can transmog are cloth, which can be transmogged by priests, mages, and warlocks. Leather, which can be transmogged by rogues, druids, monks, and demon hunters. Mail, which can be transmogged by hunters, shamans, and evokers. And plate, which can be transmogged by warriors, paladins, and death knights. To transmog your gear, you need to speak to a Warp Weaver, which can be found at your faction capital of Stormwind or Orgrimmar. Warp Weavers can also usually be found in important player hubs and cities too. Speaking to the Warp Weaver opens up the transmog interface, allowing you to pick the gear you want to change the appearance of in the left pane, and then browsing through your collection in the right pane to select the appearance you want. At the top, there's a drop-down menu that can be used to save outfits, so you can create many cool styles and switch them up easily. In addition to changing the appearance of the gear, you can also hide gear by selecting this purple eye with the diagonal line through it. Sometimes less is more, so you just want to hide something. You can also individually transmog each shoulder by selecting this little checkbox. You could have both shoulders appear as different appearances, or you could just hide one of the shoulders. This is a cool option if you want a more asymmetrical look for your character. Another tip to keep in mind is that some back appearances can actually be used to hide weapons that are normally worn on your back. So as you can see, now my sword is hidden. It's a pretty big sword to hide behind a chicken, I would say. The gold cost to transmog an item is the value of that item if you were to sell it at a vendor. So keep that in mind if you like changing your style up a lot. It can become pretty costly. Hold up. As the tank of this channel, I gotta stop us here before the next pull and remind everyone to apply the channel support buff. Click like, subscribe, or drop a comment to reapply the buff so we can keep the content coming and I don't have to solo the rest of this dungeon. Oh, great. The hunter just pulled the entire room. It can be a bit of a hassle to travel to a Warp Weaver every time you get a new piece of gear that has great stats but completely throws off your look. Luckily, the game has a few options for Transmog On-The-Go in the form of the Grand Expedition Yak Mount, Deployable Attire Rearranger Consumables, and the Ethereal Transmogrifier Toy. If you've played the game at all, then there's a good chance you've seen the Grand Expedition Yak Mount. The reason this mount is so popular is that it has some very useful NPCs that sit on the sides of it. Cousin Slowhands is a vendor who is useful for selling junk and repairing gear. But for this video, we are more interested in the Transmog vendor Mystic Bird Hat. With this mount, you, and everyone around you, have on-the-go Transmog anywhere a mount can be summoned. This mount can be purchased for 120,000 gold from Uncle Big Pocket, a Grummel who can be found in the Grummel Bazaar in Kunlai Summit in Pandaria. Although the mount is a little expensive, it brings great value to you and everybody that you play with. Our next on-the-go Transmog tool is the Deployable Attire Rearranger. These are items that can be used to summon a device that allows you to access and use the Transmog interface as if you're speaking to a Transmog vendor. These can be crafted using Koltiran or Zandalari engineering, or you can just purchase them on the auction house for gold. What's great about these is that they can be used indoors and they're fairly cheap compared to the Grand Expedition Yak. The downside is that they are consumables. Once you activate a rearranger, you have 2 minutes to use it before it despawns. Because of the short timer, these items are best used in combination with pre-saved outfits that you have already made beforehand when you're just making quick, small changes on the fly. Because 2 minutes is just not enough time to actually create an entire outfit, at least not for me. Another great option for on-the-go Transmog is the Ethereal Transmogrifier Toy. This is a toy that can be purchased from the Trader's Post for 500 Trader's Tender, and it's definitely worth it. This toy summons a Warp Weaver for 10 minutes and has a 10-minute cooldown. This allows you to fix your Transmog anywhere you want and gives you plenty of time for your Transmog needs. Others can also use it once you have summoned it, so don't be surprised if someone stops by to take advantage. Trader's Post items rotate, so just make sure to check every month so you can grab it the next time it becomes available. At the time of this recording, it is August 19th, 2024, and is currently available in the Trader's Post. So if you can, I would suggest getting it now, or at least putting it into your lock spot so that you can get it later when you can afford it. Some add-ons I would recommend are Better Wardrobe and Transmog by Slow Nightfall, and Can I Mog It by Amy Yui. Better Wardrobe and Transmog has a lot of cool features that improve the Collections Journal, Transmog Vendor, and Dressing Room. It has larger windows, improved sorting, and set previews, allows you to view additional sets, and has a cool randomized Transmog feature. The Can I Mog It add-on helps you out by adding little icons to gear in your inventory to let you know whether or not you've collected an appearance, and also add some extra information to tooltips. These little check marks let me know that I have learned this appearance. These add-ons are a great combo for collecting and using your Transmog in an easier and more convenient way. If you're not sure where to start with add-ons, check out our video explaining how to install add-ons as well as suggesting some good ones to start with. So now that you know exactly what Transmog is and how to use it, you might be wondering what the best way to grow your appearance collection is. Just about every activity in the game will end up getting you some cool looking appearances. But one of the best way to get lots of cool stuff quickly is to run old content with Legacy Loot Mode. This mode is activated when you enter an instance that you are 11 or more levels above that instance's normal max level. When Legacy Loot Mode is active, the raid or dungeon you are running will drop the same amount of loot as if you were running with a full raid or party. It will also have a chance of dropping all the items from that loot table. Because of the 11 level difference needed to activate Legacy Loot Mode, the 2 most recent expansions will not be eligible. So while you can still run them, there will not be nearly as much loot dropped from them unless you manage to run them with a full group. But then you end up fighting, begging, or paying gold for drops. If you really want to maximize your ability to take advantage of Legacy Loot Mode when running old raids, you could level some fast classes like Demon Hunters, Druids, Shaman, Monks, and spec into every talent and ability that increases speed or movement. You could buy some speed pots and even look into building yourself a speed gear set, which we will be making a video about later on. These extra steps are not necessary, but they can make a huge difference and save you a lot of time, especially if you play a slower class like Paladin or Death Knight. Thanks to the release of the Warband system with the War Within expansion, collecting Transmog has become much simpler and more enjoyable than ever. You can now collect any Transmog appearance with any class, even if you can't equip it. And coming with the 11.0.5 patch, you'll even be able to collect non-cosmetic class-restricted gear, and acquire all possible appearances when completing quests that reward gear. If this guide helps you out, like, subscribe, and drop a comment below to let us know what your favorite transmog looks like. And check out the rest of the What's My Role channel for more World of Warcraft content, like podcasts, streams, and other guides like this one on tips for new and returning players. Thanks for tuning in!